The Best of Living in Iowa is funded in part by the Gilchrist Foundation. Founded by Jocelyn Gilchrist, furthering the philanthropic interests of the Gilchrist family in wildlife and conservation, the arts and public broadcasting, and disaster relief.
Funding for this program was provided by Friends, the Iowa Public Television Foundation. Generations of families and friends who feel passionate about the programs they watch on Iowa Public Television.
Hello, this is Morgan Halgren. For 16 seasons, Living in Iowa told the tale of what it means to be uniquely Iowan. Tonight, we honor that spirit by bringing you another glimpse into our rich heritage with a few stories from our archives. In this episode of The Best of Living in Iowa, we'll revisit our story about the men who gathered 50 years after December 7, 1941, to retell their stories from the attack on Pearl Harbor. I learned how to make potato latkes, the pancakes made during the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. See how the town of Bristow honored one of their favorite sons, Ed Yost, who is considered to be the father of modern ballooning. And listen to the sounds of Iowaacapella group Tonic Solfa.
It's hard to imagine a more peaceful setting than the tranquil waters of a Hawaiian harbor under a blue sky. Maybe that's why the attack on Pearl Harbor was such a shock to the military personnel who lived through it. And maybe that's why the memories are so ingrained and clear for them. Last Veterans Day, a ceremony was held at the state capitol in Des Moines. Its purpose was to dedicate a memorial to the Iowans who served at Pearl Harbor.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
We're here today to preserve an important part of history, the attack on Pearl Harbor almost 50 years ago. In two separate attacks, lasting approximately 100 minutes, 2,403 lives were lost. Of that number, 83 were Iowans. Of these 83 Iowans...
Not too much to describe. It was a nice sunny Sunday morning. We didn't have anything to do that day, so we were going to loaf around. But then they changed that for us.
I was on the 4-day watch that morning and I got relieved. I had just been relieved, and I finishing breakfast when we noticed this plane on a power dive over on Ford Island. We could see out of the portholes right over on the Ford Island. And one of the guys said, boy, they're getting a little hard up practicing that dive bombing on Sunday.
By the time I got to the battle station, we'd already got a fish, a torpedo. Of course, we all wondered what was going on, but then when we got the torpedo, we knew what was going on. We knew war was on then.
My ship, the California, we were sitting there in Pearl Harbor with the double bottoms open. I mean, clear to the keel. That ship was wide open. Just like you fled that building over there with all the stairways and elevators open. It went down. It's just absolutely no preparedness whatsoever for any type of an attack.
At that time, everything was locked up. Ammunition was locked up. We broke the locks on the ammunition compartment, started firing, and I'm going to say we were among the first to start firing on that particular amount. I know we were the first on the ship to fire, but I don't know if that was true to the whole harbor. It's hard to say.
We got underway after receiving the bomb, or torpedo and 3 bombs. And we got going out the channel, and by that time, your high bombers were coming in, and then they turned everything they had so they could block the channel. And if they'd done that and sunk us, they'd had to dig a whole new channel for entryway. And they sent out a few tugs and to ship us and push us up on the beach. And then we countersunk ourselves so we wouldn't sink back down into the channel.
Most of the crew members at Pearl Harbor were 18 to 24-year-old kids, average. And at that age, you don't think a lot. You take what comes and goes, And of course, you're scared. That's about the biggest thing, I think.
I lived through it. A lot of guys didn't. We lost 448 men off my ship. Of course, we were lucky. The Arizona, there's a gentleman around here off the Arizona. They lost all except 129. He's around here too. I just spoke to him the other day.
2 guys that I was really pretty well acquainted with were killed that day. So that's one of the first things I saw when I came up on top side. They had 2 lines of men stretched out on the quarterdeck, and 2 of them I knew pretty well.
You know, here I'm a little kid off a farm in Iowa, and it just makes you grow up. You're not a kid no more. It just is something. It does something to a guy. And I know my mother, when I went home, my mother says, you don't have the smile like you used to have. Well, it changes, you know.
In a recent public opinion survey poll, less than 1/3 of the population of the United States remembered Pearl Harbor. History cannot be duplicated. It can only be preserved. So it is important for future generations that we preserve this important happening in history, December 7th, 1941. We are dedicated to the memory of Pearl Harbor and to those gallant Americans who gave their lives for their country.
Ready, and fire! And fire!
I just can't understand how people cannot remember Pearl Harbor, because you daresn't forget it, because it happened once and it can happen again.
Virtually every holiday celebration involves light in one form or another. Lights on a tree, light from a nice fire, or candlelight. In fact, in the Jewish faith, the lighted menorah is the most important symbol in one of their most favorite holidays, Hanukkah. And in Iowa, around 6,000 Jews faithfully observe that festival of lights.
This 1938 photo shows a young Jewish boy using a candle known as a shamash to light the second candle in the menorah. Scenes like this one have taken place in Iowa since the 1840s, when Jewish immigrants began to settle here and enjoy a religious tolerance they had seldom experienced. As the decades passed, they worked steadily toward their long-sought goal of security and happiness, all the while holding fast to the tenets of their faith and the rituals and traditions of their holidays, like the lighting of the menorah. Hanukkah is really a commemoration of a Jewish victory in an ancient war. The temple around which the war had centered was recaptured and rededicated, but there was enough oil to burn for only one day. Jews consider it a miracle that the oil lasted for 8 days, hence the 8 candles on the menorah. Other traditions of Hanukkah include playing games of chance, like dreidel, and exchanging small gifts. Louise Kaufman filled us in on one of the food traditions at the Tifereth Israel Synagogue in Des Moines.
Louise, what is this dish called?
These are potato latkes, or pancakes.
And why are they important in Hanukkah?
It gives everybody the opportunity to participate in the festival of the oil.
All right, and how do you make them?
Okay, first you take a medium to small onion and cut it up in little pieces, and you want to chop it to a fine mince, but you don't want to puree it. Okay, then you take a 1-pound package of commercially produced hash brown potatoes.
That makes it easier.
We do the easy method here.
Okay.
A cup of flour. a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper so you don't see black pepper flakes in there. And the prerequisite 4 eggs.
I'll take the shells. Oh, you got
Just
them?
throw them over here.
Okay. This is something that almost every family makes then?
Yes. The latkes are the most traditional because in the old days of first celebrating the festival, eggs and potatoes were relatively easy and onions to transport as we got kicked out of one country to another. And these were things that could be grown and hauled very easily without a chance of spoiling.
Yeah. Now, is this going to be a solid dough?
No, it's going to be a very loose dough, more like pancake batter.
Oh.
And you want to process this till it's about the consistency of lumpy oatmeal, because you still want some texture. Okay, then when it gets to be this consistency, you can take 1/4 cup measure or a large serving spoon, however much you want, and you want to fry them in about 1/2 inch of oil heated to about 375 degrees. Big trick with oil is if you don't have it hot enough, it'll soak in. So at 375, it'll sear the outsides and not soak in.
And how long do they cook on each side?
Depending on how hot your skillet is and your own skill, 3 to 5 minutes on each side. You want them to be golden brown and not too crisp, although there are people who like them both ways.
Okay. And then once they're cooked, how do you serve them?
They're served usually on a platter as a side dish, and they're served with applesauce and sour cream if you're doing a dairy dinner. Because most Jews have some knowledge of keeping kosher, they will not serve dairy products when they serve a meat meal, even if it's not a kosher meal itself.
All right. It smells wonderful.
Colorful balloons rise with the sun on a pleasant August morning. Balloonists from around the country gather near Bristow, Iowa, to launch their aircraft and salute hot air ballooning hero Ed Yost. That's Ed's friend, Joe Kittinger, who is also a famous balloonist. Joe's in the record books for the highest parachute jump, which was from a balloon 20 miles above the Earth. He was also the first to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. But his amazing story will have to wait for a future episode of Living in Iowa. Now Joe is leading the parade with Bristow-born ballooning baron Ed Yost.
First thing I did was to call my buddy Ed Yost and say, Ed, I want to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. And Ed helped me do that. Well, Ed is a brilliant engineer. Ed has invented more things than you can shake a stick at. He's very practical, and he can build anything with his hands and his mind. He contributed greatly to our country. High altitude scientific ballooning, low altitude military, and of course, last but not least, he developed the modern hot air balloon.
This flight pays homage to Ed, who took an idea that dates back to 1783 and improved it to create the modern hot air balloon. The first manned flight was in a balloon made of paper heated with an open flame. Not a good combination. So when gas balloons were flown, literally just a few days later, hot air balloons faded from view for nearly 200 years.
Well, there's so many things you can do now that nobody could ever do before because the material is available to work with, really. 100 years or so and see why they failed, and then say, how can I fix it? And you try something and the damn thing don't work, you try something else and you keep on until you get there.
Ed used that try again attitude in 1955. He utilized his gas ballooning experience to make a hot air prototype of a round plastic balloon with plumber's fire pots for the heat source. The U.S. Office of Naval Research got wind of his project and commissioned Yost to build a lightweight portable balloon for military purposes. Ed's cut and try method led to the nylon fabric, teardrop shape, and propane fuel that you see in today's hot air balloons. This segment from a History Channel program captured Ed's rough and tumble personality.
And when I had the whole burner exploded in the air, I hit the ground pretty hard several times.
To demonstrate the potential of the hot air balloon, Ed made a splash in 1963 during a 50-mile flight over the English Channel. The popular sport of hot air ballooning was born.
But the hot air balloon to me is less than 5% of what I've done. And because people get involved and use it for a toy, that's the reason. They think that's all I've ever done in my whole damn life. So this is far more important than anything else like that.
Ed is referring to his scrapbook that documents nearly everything he's accomplished in ballooning. Accomplishments that inspired the people of Bristow to honor him.
In Nebraska, they put a monument to Ed where he made the first flight of the modern hot air balloon. I said to Ed, I said, we're going to honor you in Bristow next year. And he said, that's fine, but if you're going to honor me, you're going to honor Joe too. And I said, that's fine, we want both of you.
On the weekend of an annual town celebration, Ed and Joe spent the day enjoying good food, music, and old friends.
I like that. Yeah. Her name.
Because Ed is a veteran, he insisted on sharing the honors with other veterans and donated the funds for a monument that was unveiled the next morning.
Joe and Ed are both living legends. All American guys, they don't blow their own horns.
Ed is also well known in ballooning circles for building and flying high-altitude, long-distance gas balloons. He set many records, including a flight in 1976 over the Atlantic Ocean in a balloon that he built himself. He didn't quite make it to dry land, but set distance and duration records that still stand today for that size balloon. Many others would follow and successfully cross great oceans in balloons that Ed built. What does he think about trying to set ballooning records?
It's a lot of work, and it's very tiresome, and probably the dumbest thing you ever do in your dang life. You accomplish nothing really.
Ironically, the things for which Ed is best known are the things about which he cares the least. His proudest moments are captured in a scrapbook that reveals the fascinating scientific and military uses for his balloons. Before manned space flights, balloons were sent to the edge of space to check for radiation levels. During the Cold War era, balloons of Ed's design were constructed by people who escaped from behind the Iron Curtain. And he developed a mechanism still used to drop propaganda leaflets.
Here are some of the leaflets. This is on the small one, and the bigger ones, this one carried 450 pounds of leaflets, but look at these. Here you see me in younger days. That is the forerunner of the U-2. Then that would take pictures all the way across Russia.
Before satellites and spy planes, Ed was launching balloons with cameras.
Whenever they have a hell of a problem, I get involved. In Vietnam, to wipe out the surface-to-air missile batteries, I developed a BC-300. It's a small balloon with 300 feet of steel cable hanging in the water in the ocean, launched from PT boats at night, and then they'd drift ashore and short out all the power lines that go to the missile batteries.
Ed attached aircraft strobe lights to small balloons that flew at 10,000 feet to attract enemy missile fire.
And they blast away with them with their surface-to-air missiles that cost over $250,000 a shot. Well, our little balloon up there probably cost $50. And we're still doing this in different parts of the world, all kinds of leaflets and radar chaff and the whole thing recently, within the last 2 months. So I'm not out of the business yet, but most people get in business and they work like heck to make a lot of money. I've never been interested in money. I like to do things.
Ed, an inventor and adventurer, expressed a sense of modesty about being honored during the weekend's events.
I'm really overwhelmed. It makes you feel damn humble, really. I don't know. To me, this is just what I like to do and what people need.
Hot air balloon pilots from around the world are thankful that by doing what he loved to do, Ed Yost has fulfilled their desire to experience flight.
I just love Ed. You kind of got to know him. He gets lovable.
We leave you this week with the exciting harmonies of one of the premier a cappella groups in the nation, Tonic Solfa. Their name comes from the key musical relationships of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do. And their members hail from Sioux City, Algona, Sioux Falls, and Wyoming. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Here's Tonic Solfa performing a song from their newest CD, Boston to Beijing.
Ooh, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, oh, oh, ooh, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, oh. You'll be famous, I'm sure you will be. I'll catch a show on the late night TV. Ride the fame all the way to the top. Your grand illusions, man, that don't ever stop. Sleep on through the day, sleep on through the night. Yeah, maybe tomorrow everything will be right. Until then, oh my, your dreams are yours, so get up, all get ready. You just never know. Sleep on. Tomorrow morning you wake up and find the trip is over, man, they messed with your mind. Friend to friend, believe me, I know. I've seen the future, now you don't have to go. So sleep on through the day, sleep on through the night. Yeah, maybe tomorrow everything will be right. Until then, no. Your dreams are yours, so get up, all get ready. You just never know. Sleep on. Someday, someday soon. Ow, 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 ow. Someday, someday soon. Ow, ow, ow. Just like a dream, man, he's sitting on your shoulder with the devil in a new disguise. You recognize that you're walking right up to him. You just keep crossing every crooked line. So sleep on through the day, sleep on through the night. Yeah, maybe tomorrow everything will be right. Until then, oh my, your dreams are yours. Get up, oh, get ready. You just never know. You overslept, so sorry, that's true. You're looking at me, but nobody's to blame. Just you, a superstar. I am sure you will be, and we'll all catch a show on the late night TV.
The Best of Living in Iowa is funded in part by the Gilchrist Foundation. Founded by Jocelyn Gilchrist, furthering the philanthropic interests of the Gilchrist family in wildlife and conservation, the arts and public broadcasting, and disaster relief.
Funding for this program was provided by Friends, the Iowa Public Television Foundation. Generations of families and friends who feel passionate about the programs they watch on Iowa Public Television.